Hey everybody, it's your radio pal Wes Nessman, and I thought I'd tell you some wrestling stories because none of them are that good, but they're all kind of neat if you're a wrestling fan. First off, when I was born in Compton, California, and then my parents moved to Norwalk, and I ended up living across the street from a professional wrestler. And he would tell us his wrestling name was the Masked Marvel. And I didn't know whether to buy this because that was a pretty big name. And I actually researched it in later years, and the fact of the matter is, he was the Masked Marvel. The deal is there may or may not have been multiple guys that called themselves the Masked Marvel at that time. And he kind of taught me to lift weights, and he would put all his kids in the back of his truck and take us to the beach and whatnot. Just a totally cool dude. So that's kind of where I got into wrestling a little bit. So I wanted to tell you a couple stories. One of my favorite ones is I was actually at the Lubbock Civic Center, and a great place to do stuff. I don't know why they don't do more stuff there. And they had these bleachers up there, and me and a friend are watching a match. And this was a pretty big event because Hulk Hogan and everybody was there. I remember that. And everybody's going to the dressing room behind the bleachers. And the dressing room door swings open, and me and my friend are just kind of like checking the wrestlers going back and forth. And there, just completely 100% naked, is King Harley Race. Now, I don't know if you know what this guy looks like, but trust me, you don't want to see him naked. Then there was the time I had the incredible, wonderful Eddie Guerrero in the studio. He is simply simply the most awesome, compassionate, soft-spoken, coolest human beings I ever had an opportunity to meet in my life. This is right when his big Latino Heat thing started happening. And I asked him, I said, because I was a little naive. I said, man, you kind of faded away for a little bit. Now you're busting out bigger than ever. What's up? And he goes, well, I guess it's no secret. And he starts telling me about his battles with drugs and alcohol and how it tore his life apart and how he came through it and all this stuff. I'm like, man, this guy don't have to reveal this stuff to some shitty DJ, but he still does. And it was really, really awesome. Also got to spend the day with the one and only Terry Funk. Now, when you're around Terry Funk, he looks like every broken down, tore up, been on the road, too much wrestler that you've ever seen of or have imagined in your life. I mean, the guy can barely move, barely get out of a chair. And this was many, many years ago. I can't imagine now. But I'm telling you, the minute the lights go on, boom, that dude is 22 years old and brings it. And an incredible guy, a West Texas legend. One time, my band was playing at the Depot Beer Garden. It's the Buddy Holly Center now, which is a waste. It was better when it was the Depot Beer Garden. And back then, any band could fill the joint. The place was going to be full, and if you were lucky enough to get a gig there, you were going to do all right. And it was kind of interesting because that weekend, WCW was in town, and Zakk Wylde was playing acoustic over at the Warehouse. And there was nobody at Zakk Wylde's show. That's what was funny, is there were more people there to see us play, or at least were there when we were playing, than were there to see Zakk Wylde. But all the WCW guys came over to the show. And they came over after that night, and then they were going to have a layover that night. And I went up and I went to greet Ric Flair, and he like instantly flinched. I'm like, whoa, easy, bro. Evidently, he's used to people, just wanting to take him down a peg or something. But I'm like, man, I just want to thank you for all the great years of entertainment. And he was like, oh okay. And it was a very bizarre thing. But later that night, our singer, who just happened to be on mushrooms, started singing Ric Flair to the words that come together. And go dun 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 dun, and he'd go Ric Flair, and he's just calling Ric Flair out so much that it pissed Ric Flair off. And the next night, he sent advance word that he was coming out there, and if that band mentioned his name on stage, he was going to kick somebody's ass. Well, that didn't happen, but the guys, the Nasty Boys, came out. And believe it or not, got up on stage and sang with us, which that was really, really cool. Now, on to some modern day stuff. I had brokered or was attempting to broker some peace between the WWE and United Spirit Arena. So I became big friends with WWE, and I had talked to the guys on the phone and everything. And it just so happened that one of the events was happening on my birthday, and I was backstage, and I take my backstage time very, very seriously. I don't fart around. I know those people are there to do a job. I don't mess with them. I get in, I get out, I do my stuff. I'm done. So I come back and I greet the promoters and all that stuff, and we make the arrangements for me to go make the announcements. And they go, hold on, we got something for you. And what had happened is I had told one of them that my favorite wrestler was the one and only Triple H, Paul. And they bring Triple H out. And Triple H is just talking to me, man. It's your birthday. Hey, that's awesome. We appreciate it. We know you did a lot for the WWE, and it's cool. And it's kind of interesting that me and Triple H are the same height, the same weight, and everything, except, you know, he's built like a Greek god, and I'm built like a beer-drinking biker, which I don't guess is a bad thing, but whatever. The thing that really I really remember from that visit is how bad his knees looked. It looked like somebody had opened up the skin underneath his kneecaps and injected hamburger meat in there. It was just really, really, really bad, man. I felt really, really bad for the dude. And so I'm talking to him, and he's totally cool. And it's like anytime a wrestler come by, he'd go, "Hey, Steve." And here comes Steve Austin, the Rattlesnake. He's like, "Meet my friend Wes." You know, we'd shake hands and everything. And one door opens, and I see Trish Stratus, and a human eye is not trained to see beauty like that. It's like looking at the sun. I mean, that's how gorgeous that woman is. And then I hear this giant flush, and here comes the Big Show out of the bathroom. And talk about the human eye not being ready for something. When he walks through a doorway, he has to go through it sideways and duck. You're just not ready to see that. Which takes me to my last story. We did this promotion where you got to wrestle a WWE member. And what we did was we set up a PlayStation or Xbox or whatever backstage, and you actually got to sit there and play somebody. And the WWE had set us up with some undercard wrestler or something like that. But the wrestlers, they got nothing to do till it's time to wrestle. So they would come over and play and stuff. And I got my little next door neighbor, Justin, you know him as our board op here, to set up his system. And so he's just sitting there mashing away and stuff. And here comes the Big Show. Pulls up a folding chair, which will hold not even half of one ass cheek. And he starts playing Justin. And I thought it was really, really funny because the Big Show chose to play as himself. And Justin's just beating the shit out of this guy on the Xbox and stuff like that. And the Big Show looks over at Justin and goes, "Wow, my guy's kind of dumb, isn't he?" And I just thought that was kind of cool that he had that kind of sense of humor. You just don't expect him to say that about his own wrestling character. So there you go. There's a look at some wrestler people and some good times. This is for you, Stephanie. You guys be awesome to each other.